When it comes to shipping, whether you're transporting goods domestically within the U.S. or internationally, the regulations for hazardous materials and dangerous goods have similarities and differences that you need to understand. I'm Kari Crane, editor of Shipping Solutions International Trade Blog Passages. I'll explain the differences between the domestic term hazardous materials and the international term dangerous goods. But first, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our Basics of Exporting videos, sharing practical advice for exporters and importers. Let's start with the basics. In the United States, the transportation of hazardous materials is governed by the Hazardous Material Transportation Act of 1975. This act was created to protect against the risks inherent in transporting hazardous materials. The regulations are detailed in the Code of Federal Regulations, or CFR, Title 49. Here are the key areas of compliance and enforcement: procedures and policies, material designations, packaging requirements, operational rules. And this is a definition found in the CFR. Hazardous material means a substance or material that the Secretary of Transportation has determined is capable of posing an unreasonable risk to health, safety, and property when transported in commerce, and has designated as hazardous under Section 5103 of Federal Hazardous Materials Transportation Law. The term includes hazardous substances, hazardous wastes, marine pollutants, elevated temperature materials, materials designated as hazardous in the Hazardous Materials Table, and materials that meet the defining criteria for hazard classes and division in Part 173 of this subchapter. Key terms to note here are property, hazardous substances, and when transported in commerce. I'll revisit these later. Now let's look at the international definitions of dangerous goods. For air transport, the International Civil Aviation Organization defines dangerous goods as articles or substances capable of posing a risk to health, safety, property, or environment. For sea transport, the International Maritime Organization, or IMO, uses the International Maritime Dangerous Goods Code, or IMDG Code, to define dangerous goods this way. Dangerous goods mean the substances, materials, and articles covered by the IMDG Code. For most shippers, the terms hazardous materials and dangerous goods are used interchangeably. However, as we saw in the U.S. definition, there are specific legal distinctions, especially regarding property and transportation in commerce. Also, the U.S. Department of Transportation definition doesn't include environmental risks, which is under the jurisdiction of the Environmental Protection Agency. The EPA regulates hazardous substances, and only if they are shipped in certain quantities. If such a quantity is released, it must be reported to DOT's National Response Center. The term property also plays a crucial role. It involves ownership and responsibility, especially in the event of a hazmat incident. This is why shipping papers, which include the correct UN identification numbers, proper shipping names, and emergency contact information, are so important, along with the Incoterms 2020 rule used for the shipment. And what about when you purchase hazardous items like solvents or paint at a store? These aren't regulated as hazmat unless they're being transported in commerce. Hazmat training is a key aspect of compliance. Employers shipping hazmat must train their employees in these 4 areas. 1. A general awareness of the hazard communication system. 2. Safety and how to properly handle hazardous materials and the need to provide emergency response information. OSHA training can be used to fulfill this if applicable. 3. Security awareness and how to develop and maintain a possible security plan if necessary. 4. Function-specific training as it applies to their particular products and modes of transport, both domestically and possibly internationally. The alternative use of dangerous goods training can be substituted. For air transport, that means training on the ICAO IATA regulatory requirements. For vessel shipments, that means training according to the IMDG Code. Even international shippers must comply with U.S. regulations when shipping to, through, or from the U.S. So while hazardous materials and dangerous goods share some similarities, their definitions and regulations can differ significantly based on what's being shipped, where it originated, and where it is going. This video is based on our more in-depth article by the same name, which you can find on our International Trade Blog Passages, which I'll link below. If you liked this video, I hope you'll like it, share it, and subscribe to our channel for more videos sharing real practical advice about export documentation, compliance, and the latest changes affecting exporters.